At the end of episode 4 of Wistoria Wand Sword, the conflict between Julius and Will has reached its heights, with Julius's disrespect of the dwarves finally driving Will to enter the Grand Magic Festival. Julius's goal is to get Will kicked out of Regarden Magical Academy, while Will's goal is to defeat Julius for the dignity of the dwarves, as well as to force Julius to apologize for his horrible behavior towards them. This is where we jump into episode 5, called Raise the Starting Pistol. As episode 5 opens, Will is in a locker room preparing for the start of the Grand Magic Festival. From the locker room, Headmistress Cauldron can be heard giving a speech for the opening of the festival before fireworks shoot out into the air as a celebratory welcome to all students who have joined and all of the festival's spectators. As the fireworks begin to subside, we are shown that multiple factions have made their way to the festival, ready to scout any talent that they deem worthy of ascending the tower. From here, the first event is shown, known as the Sky Race, where students are riding dragons through an obstacle course to see who can complete the course the fastest. Lihana Owenzaus, the lightning wielder, can be seen leading the pack as students in the crowd comment and express that Lihana is absolutely amazing and isn't called Miss Perfect for nothing. Seated separate from the crowd, Headmistress Cauldron and Iris Churchill can be seen talking about the scouts and how excited they seem to be to see and scout the most promising students to come out of this festival. And just as they say this, we learn that Lihana has won the Sky Race for the second year in a row and set a new record for the course. After Lihana wins, Iris sets off to leave Headmistress Cauldron's side. Headmistress Cauldron questions Iris' motives for leaving, but Iris lets the headmistress know that she has work to attend to and that she's also going to go and cheer on Will. It's from this point that we cut over to Scion and his friends. Scion's friends could not enter the tournament, but wish Scion luck in the event called the Crown Attack, as Scion will be competing. Scion, glowing and portraying himself as a knight in shining armor, says that he's happy to compete because there's no way that he would let down a lady in need. In this moment, we flash back to Colette asking Scion to join their team, and then we immediately jump back to the present, where Scion is walking down the hall to meet with Colette. As he walks, Scion is internally monologuing about how Colette came to him because he is a better choice than Will to partner up with for an event like the Crown Attack. But just when Scion opens the locker room door expecting to find Colette so that they can prepare, he's enraged to be faced with both Will and Colette. When Scion asks Colette why Will is there, she emphasizes that she asked Scion to join our team, not just her team. She reminds Scion that a team is required to have 21,000 combined credits to join the Crown Attack. Colette herself has 7,340 credits, and Scion has 9,889 credits, but Will only has 5,405 credits. Will apologizes to Scion for causing him any trouble, but this further enrages Scion. Scion walks over to Will, asking why he would even be joining such a high-level event, but before Will has the opportunity to answer, Julius, the ice wielder, enters the room. Julius stares at Will with a devilish grin, as though he has already won before leaving. In this moment, all Scion can think about is how Julius just walked right by him and didn't even glance in his direction. You can tell Scion feels something akin to hurt feelings and doesn't know how to process what just happened. Colette begins to explain to Scion that something happened between Julius and Will, and since Julius joined the Crown Attack, Will wanted to join too, no matter what it took to get into the event. But it doesn't matter what Colette is saying at this point. All Scion feels is rage for basically being ignored by Julius, but especially for being ignored by Will in that moment. Scion also still feels embarrassed and angry that Will saved him in the dungeons. As the Grand Magic Festival's afternoon events begin, the most anticipated event, known as the Crown Attack, is set to start. The announcer explains that in this event, there are multiple zones that the students will have to compete through. There's the volcano zone, followed by the marshlands, the badland zone, the grassland zone, and finally the woodland zone. And all of these locations were created by the elves' grand conjuration. He also explains that this competition is competed with teams of three, and all teams will be starting at the outer edges of the zones and must make their way to the stadium in the center, where the crown for the winning team will be held. But as the teams make their way through the zones, they will be faced with traps meant to slow them down. The announcer goes on to explain that the teams favorited to win this event are Team 12, led by Wignall the Wonder Elf, and Team 9, led by Julius the Ice Master. Another team receiving attention, but not for good reasons, as they are the least popular of all of the teams, is Team 6, which is the team consisting of Will, Paulette, and Scion. They're looked down upon because Will is considered a no talent. As students hear that Will has entered the competition, you can hear laughter all throughout the stadium, as no one believes in Will and immediately writes him off as someone who has no abilities at all. Will's roommate and friend, Rosti, can be seen in the crowd feeling bad for Will, as everyone laughs at him. It is at this point that all of the students competing in the crown attack are sent to their starting points. As Will and his team are making their way to their starting point, Professor Werkner spots Will and is shocked that he's joined the event. Werkner grabs Will by both arms and begins shaking him, warning him not to participate in the event, as he's done many times in the past. Will apologizes to Professor Werkner, but with pure resolve in his eyes, Will tells Werkner that he wants to win this fight. Werkner tries one final time to stop Will, but Will has nothing left to say, and leaves to get to his starting point for the crown attack. And just like that, the crown attack begins, and all of the teams take off running. Immediately, many of the traps set by the professor start to erupt into mass amounts of golems, but Will can be seen pushing forward, even ahead of his team. His classmates in the stand call it a suicide attack on Will's part, as the last time they saw him face a golem in class, Will got knocked down and lost. However, as we bounce back to Will running at the golems, Will asks Colette for assistance. Colette states a spell, and immediately after, a gauntlet forms on Will's right arm. Will, without hesitation, uses this gauntlet and punches the first golem he reaches. Will hit the golem so hard that it knocked down several other golems before exploding. The explosion was so massively unexpected and caused so much damage that students in the stadium literally fell out of their seats in pure shock and awe of Will's strength. In the meantime, Colette let Scion know, more than likely so that Scion isn't afraid that they'll lose, that Will using the gauntlet is not against the rules. But Scion looks more annoyed than anything, as the announcer states that out of all the teams, Will's is the first one to make it through the golems. Scion, having not dealt with his emotions around Will saving him and his friends in the dungeon, goes into a flashback while in the middle of the field watching Will push forward. Scion recalls Will's strength and how easily Will defeated a monster that Scion could not beat. Scion explains that if he had a choice, he would have preferred dying in the dungeon than being saved by Will. But because of the dungeon incident, Scion goes into how he worked his fingers to the bone to get as strong as he possibly could. And still, seeing Will excelling the way that he is so far in the crown attack, Scion can't help but feel like the world has been turned upside down. Scion's anger and insecurity around Will, however, are not slowing down the team, as Team 6, made up of Scion, Will, and Colette, is leading the charge in the competition as they enter the Badland. As Team 6 starts to make their way through the Badlands, the traps set in the area begin to throw rock formations at the team. Will, noticing the incoming projectiles, takes a step in front of his other two teammates and uses the gauntlet he has to punch the ground and produce a rock wall to protect his entire team. Will then leaps high into the air, once again asking Colette for an assist. Colette says a magic spell and produces countless blades for Will to use on the traps. Will, Grabbing the blades two at a time, starts launching them at the traps, destroying them easily and extremely fast. One trap, having fallen to the ground without breaking, attempts to attack Will head-on, with no luck apparently, as Will slices through it with ease. Everyone in the stands is stunned at Will's performance. Some are stunned to silence, while others attempt to explain away Will's excellence in the Crown Attack event. But Iris, excited to see Will fighting and wanting to cheer on her new friend, can be seen screaming at the top of her lungs from the stands for Will's success. Will's team, having made it out of the Badlands, is starting to make some of the other teams nervous, as they can't believe that they are trailing behind a laggard like they have known Will to be. But no one in the stands and no other team is slowing Will's team down. They're continuing to push as hard as they can through the course. At the same time that all of this is happening, we're taken to Julius's team on the field. Julius has just frozen all obstacles in front of them and asks his team for a status update on where the other teams are on the field. His teammates look at the locations of the other teams and let Julius know that Will's team is ahead of everyone else. Julius's teammates seem worried about the idea of losing, but Julius is indifferent about the information he was just given and cracks a smile. He tells his teammates not to worry and to leave everything to him before walking off with a trail of ice following him. Next, we are taken back to Team 6, where Will, Colette, and Scion have made it to the final obstacle, the Enchanted Woods. As the team begins to make their way through the Enchanted Woods, they immediately encounter chain circle traps. Within seconds, the team finds themselves surrounded by these traps. But Will is quick on his feet, and without a second thought, he starts to dig the traps out of the ground with his blade, forcing them to face one another and go off, destroying each other. After destroying the traps, Will begins to strategize about his next steps, noting that as his team gets closer to the arena, this is the time where they will probably start coming across other teams as those teams also get close. Will wants to use this fact to his team's advantage so that they can take cover somewhere and set up an ambush for Julius. While Will mentally finalizes his plan, he's completely caught off guard as he's almost hit by Julius's ice magic out of nowhere. Colette screams out to Will, but he lets her know that he's okay before spotting Julius up in a tree. Colette is stunned and confused to see Julius, wondering how he managed to get ahead of them. Will's also shocked, trying to figure out how Julius could have beat their strategy up to now. But Julius is leaving the team no time to wonder about how he managed to get ahead of them as he begins launching ice attacks at Will. Will, dodging each attack, seems like he's trying to pull himself together, and right before Julius's attack can land, help appears to Will in the form of Scion and his fire magic. Scion begins melting all of the ice around him as a blaze of fire forms around his body. And just as Will and Colette begin to wonder what Scion is going to do next, Scion begins a spell to attack. Colette recognizes something isn't right, believes Scion could also hurt Will with this next attack, so she tells Will to run. As Will turns to face Scion, Scion, still tormented about everything that's occurred between he and Will to this point, drops all pretense and openly attacks his teammate Will before Will has time to react. Luckily for Will, Colette manages to put up a stone wall, protecting Will from the flames just in the nick of time. However, looking at the aftermath of the attack, it's clear to see that Will would have taken serious damage, or even worse, if Scion's attack had hit him head on. Scion then approaches Will, challenging his teammate to a battle, as he seems at this point insulted by Will's very existence and believes Will is in his way. Will, completely baffled at this point, asks Scion if he's serious about fighting in the middle of the crown attack, but Scion is not backing down. Colette, wanting to support Will and end the madness being caused by Scion, goes to try and speak to her teammates, but is blocked by an ice wall that's put up by Julius. More than being shocked by the ice wall, Colette is wondering how Julius managed to survive such a high-level fire attack from Scion. However, Julius, just like Scion, isn't trying to give Colette any time to think as he continues to attack her. Will can hear Colette's screams and turns to help her, and Scion takes advantage of Will being distracted and pushes forward to continue to attack Will. Scion manages to disarm Will of his sword as Will tries to talk Scion down, expressing that there's definitely a better time to have this fight. But Scion, not to be talked down, tells Will to grab his sword. And Will, sensing the seriousness in Scion's voice, does just that and grabs his sword before he can be attacked again. This cliffhanger of a standoff is where episode 5 of Wistoria Wand Sword ends. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you all for episode 6.